Saudi Arabia evacuates residents and foreign nationals, including Filipinos, from battle-scarred Sudan. One analyst says China is in damage control following the controversial remarks of its ambassador to the Philippines. And face masks remain mandatory in railway systems amid the rising number of COVID-19 infections in the country. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Riza Diaz. We begin the newscast with the evacuation efforts in Sudan as fighting continues between rival military forces. Saudi Arabia said it evacuated more than 150 individuals to Jeddah, the first evacuation of civilians since the tension began. Over 90 of them are Saudi citizens, while the rest are foreign nationals from 12 other countries like the Philippines. Authorities in Sudan said American troops are now working to evacuate Washington's embassy in the country. President Bongbong Marcos said the Philippine government is also preparing to carry out its own repatriation efforts. There are more than 400 Filipinos in battle-scarred Sudan, with one reported injured but is now in good condition.
We are just waiting to get better information as to whether or not it will be safe to bring our evacuees out of Khartoum, perhaps into Cairo.
The Philippines and China agreed to open more lines of communication amid geopolitical tensions in the region. Camille Samonte with the report.
Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang visited Manila for high-level talks with Philippine officials. He met with Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo on Saturday. In his opening remarks, Manalo insisted that the relationship between the two countries remains separate from issues on territorial dispute in the West Philippine Sea. He also said that this will not hinder their goal to resolve the issue for the sake of Filipino fisherfolk affected by incidents in the area. Investment pledges from President Bongbong Marcos' visit to Beijing were also tackled. There's also developments in the tourism front as flights from Beijing to Manila resume. China also emphasized the importance of cooperation between China and the Philippines in resolving disputes through dialogue and consultation. Beijing also pledged to continue cooperating with the Philippines in implementing agreements reached between President Bongbong Marcos and Chinese President Xi Jinping.
China is ready to work with the Philippines to truly implement the consensus between the presidents of our two countries, keep to the direction of friendship between our two countries, jointly uphold the larger picture of our bilateral relations.
After his meeting with Manalo, Qing proceeded to Malacanang for his courtesy visit to President Bongbong Marcos. During their talk, the Philippines and China agreed to open more lines of communication to prevent more tension in the West Philippine Sea. President Bongbong Marcos said the meeting proved fruitful as the two countries continue to make future plans in the economic, cultural, and educational sectors. For News 5, Camille Samonte, We Are One News.
One expert believes that Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang is testing the waters during his visit to the Philippines. Foreign Affairs analyst Professor Richard Heydarian told 1PH that China could be feeling the shift in foreign policy. From former President Rodrigo Duterte, who favored China over the United States, to Marcos Jr., who offers a more flexible stance.
Sa palagay ko, yung China po ay nag-expect na magkakaroon tayo ng Duterte 2.0 foreign policy under Marcos Jr. So I think nabibigla talaga ang China dyan. So nagdadalawang isip sila how to win back the Philippines.
Heydarian added that Qing's visit could also be some sort of a damage control following the remarks of Chinese envoy Wang Zilian. Wang earlier called on the Philippines to reject Taiwan's independence if it really cares about the Filipinos there.
I think for a lot of Filipinos, they were not very happy about what was said, and I think a lot of Filipinos felt na parang tinitreaten yung mga OFWs dyan sa Taiwan dahil sa balak ng China na sakupin ng Taiwan just in case. I think the new Chinese foreign minister is trying to bring in his own skills and do a little bit of damage control there.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The Transportation Department says face masks will remain mandatory on trains amid rising COVID-19 cases. DOTR Assistant Secretary Georgette Aquino said face masks are still required inside LRT and MRT trains. The mandate, however, becomes optional at PNR stations that are considered open-air spaces. Aquino called on the public to remain vigilant and get vaccinated and boosted against the virus. The family of late Ambassador Albert Del Rosario opens his wake to the public. Del Rosario's wake at the chapel of the Santuario de San Antonio in Makati is open for visitors until Monday. His family said his casket arrived in the Philippines from the United States on Saturday morning. The top diplomat passed away last Tuesday after suffering from a heart attack while he was on his way to San Francisco. The United Kingdom is getting ready for the historic coronation of King Charles III. Here's what you need to know about that event so far.
June the 2nd, 1953. 27 million people in the UK alone gathered around their TV sets to see Elizabeth Alexandra Mary crowned Queen in a ceremony that lasted for 3 hours. She was just 27 at the time.
Queen Elizabeth II passes from the Abbey, consecrated and dedicated to her life work by the solemn and hallowed ritual of coronation.
Early pictures of Prince Charles, taken with his parents when he was a small baby, serve to remind us just how quickly he's growing up.
Now, 70 years later, it's her son's turn. On the 6th of May, Charles Philip Arthur George will be, at 74, the oldest monarch ever crowned in a grand Westminster Abbey ceremony that dates back to the 11th century. Coronation plans, codenamed Operation Golden Orb, call for shorter formalities this time around, which will probably be welcome news to the 2,000 guests invited to witness the ceremony in person. If you didn't get an invite though, not to worry, there will be plenty of ways to celebrate across the country. Visitors can expect themed concerts, afternoon teas, meetups for corgi owners and laser light shows. The Coronation merchandise market is already booming. And the beer will be flowing. In early March, the government extended licensing laws that allows pubs to stay open an extra 2 hours until 1 a.m. during the special Coronation weekend. While the world has changed a very great deal in the last 70 years, the coronation of King Charles III will be a pageant steeped in tradition.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again tomorrow as we monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.